This is part of a series where we're answering your questions. One question that a lot of you had is, what is the most fun step of the design thinking process? What's the most challenging step of the design thinking process? And what's the most important step of the design thinking process? So what are your thoughts, Emily?
Well, that's a really good question. To start by answering the one about which is the most fun, I would say for me, I really love the ideation stage because you just get to be a little bit more creative, like let your mind run free and do a bunch of silly exercises like you guys did. But, you know, you can't really do one phase without the other, and I like the whole process, so like they're all fun in their own way. But yeah, like ideation is definitely a good one, and I know a lot of other designers who really like that stage too. As far as the most challenging, or it was most challenging and most important, I would say for both of those, the empathize phase can be really challenging and really important. In the work that I do currently, it's incredibly challenging because my company and a lot of other companies are this way too. Like they want to jump right into the ideation phase. A lot of companies don't want to invest the time and money and energy up front to do that user research and find out if they're solving the problems for people. Oftentimes they think like, oh, I already know what the users want, or like they have all of these assumptions in their head about what would be best for people. So they'll want to skip that phase. And it's important as a designer to say, hey, wait a second, you're saying that you want this. Have you validated that with users? Or like, what data do you have to support that? So I think that's why, yeah, empathize ends up being really challenging because sometimes like these companies and places of work don't support that stage. But yeah, it's really important because if you skip that, then like you could just be going down a road and designing something that people ultimately do not want.
Interesting.
So yeah, what do you have a particular design thinking phase that you like the most?
Well, I haven't really ever done the whole process, but I'm very interested in the define stage, even though it seems boring and like the least interesting one, because it seems really cool to get a problem or a challenge and then have to change it based on what you actually see going on. A lot of times in school, like you're given the problem and that's the problem that you have to solve or address or whatever in any class. But to after empathizing and to have to see like, oh, the real problem is this, I think that's really interesting.